How's it going, everybody? GM, welcome to this 137th episode of the EV Mavericks Doots podcast live. Today, we got a real special one. We're hosting another podcast that is big in the Farcaster land, GM Farcaster with Prof and Adrienne. Welcome to the show.
GM, JT. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. Thank you, Adrienne. Also, let's hear you. Yeah, good to see you.
Great to see you. Nice to see you again, JT. Ben, everyone, Doots.
Yeah, likewise.
We've got Ben Broad helping out with us. Ben Broad is an EV Maverick OG from way back, and he's been a big fan of GM Farcaster for probably 2 or more years now, all the way since the beginning. Ben. We love Ben too. He really does help us out on Farcaster. We're very supportive of the platform. As you all know, we originate from the Reddit side of things, and it's good to have one foot in both waters, and Ben is the glue that binds. So Prof and Adrienne, I always like to ask the guests kind of the origin story, not so much when did you first learn about Bitcoin or anything like that, but what did you do in the real world, or what do you do in the real world starting, going back into your early careers? I'll just start with Prof and go from there to Adrienne.
Early careers. This is like, okay, I'm going to shorten this really.
I love it.
I've done a lot of things. I'm old. I'm old, JT. I've done a lot of things.
You got more hair than I do, I promise.
It's all back here now.
Same.
I went to college in Washington, D.C., and then I went on to law school back home in Boston, and came out of law school and went and focused on intellectual property. Worked for a trademark and copyright research company, teaching first resort and hospitality law, and then created a class called Legal Strategies for Startups for our School of Entrepreneurship, and then teaching a few other things like social entrepreneurship. And then this is why I'm fast forwarding now. Here we go into how did I get to crypto? While I'm working at FGC, it's 2017, end of December, I see an article that says, learn about smart contracts from these digital cats, and it was CryptoKitties. So I'm NFT native.
Right.
So I came in that way. Took me a week to figure out what this Ethereum thing was, how to get some, how to buy these little cats, and what I was going to do with them. And so I went down that road, but then kind of didn't see anything else. Never saw punks. Hate myself for that. And just kind of didn't know what to do next. Sort of didn't do anything else for a couple years. And then 2020 rolls around, and all of a sudden there's all this activity about crypto. And I started learning more and diving back in. I'm like, where are those cats? What's that wallet? What did I do with that seed phrase thing? It was like one of those kind of moments.
Yeah.
And and then just went down the rabbit hole and haven't come back.
What age students were you teaching before the university?
College.
It was always undergrad.
Always college.
Okay.
Yeah, always undergrad.
I taught undergrads too, but they were between the ages of 5 and 12. So
that's very undergrad. Very, very undergrad. Yeah.
What did you teach, JT?
Music, elementary school music.
Oh, I love that.
So you're an event planner by trade back in the day. I've been a pro DJ in the Kansas City market for over 20 years, top rated.
I did a lot of weddings. Worked with a lot of DJs.
I'm sure they all suck too. They are the worst in the industry, I promise.
Yeah, there was a couple good ones in there, but
I'm going to toot my horn. I'm the highest rated solo operator in the market. So
nice.
240 5-star reviews. I love doing corporate and wedding.
I believe it.
And it's just it's a passion and puts my
You've got the voice. It all makes sense. You got that voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dad was a radio disc jockey, and but that's great. So you're a university professor teaching and event planning and everything like that. That's so cool that the CryptoKitties captured. Because that was kind of that second narrative after ICO days. Then the NFT craze started with the CryptoKitties for sure. And don't beat yourself up for not finding the punks earlier or whatever. I mean,
it was right there.
I know, but it's always like, you never know what people are going to actually resonate.
Infinite regret.
And there's never been a better time probably to buy one. And I think the times will get even better as you go on. So you too can have a cigarette smoking punk for under $20,000 at some point.
This is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for that someday.
Adrienne.
But then I actually
created,
when I moved over to entrepreneurship, I created a course on blockchain.
Oh.
And that's how I went down this path. And actually you and I first met through Poapathon. I was one of the co-hosts for like a year, and we would do a show every week, and we would, had a very strong Discord and all that kind of stuff.
24-hour streams.
I did that for a year.
Yeah.
The 24-hour streams were brutal. That were fun though. We had some really, we even had some. I did one that was like a 9-hour. It was like crazy, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Who's
a moment.
Who's the awesome guy at Poapathon that
Tag.
Do what?
Tag started it. Do you remember Tag? I don't know if you remember him.
Yes. He's the one. He had skateboarder.
Tap. Not Tag. Tap. Yeah.
So I got to hang out with him in East Denver. He's a lot of fun. He's a real. He's a pretty damn big genius too. I think he does cybersecurity and kind of moved out of the space altogether. Really interesting guy.
He got burned out and he pivoted. He went back. He actually created. If you've ever used Duo Mobile, that was him.
No,
he created it. He was one of the founding team. Yes,
Wow. I don't doubt it.
Tap. There you go.
He deserves everything. Shout out to Tap.
A cool guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of how we got to at least this point.
Excellent.
We can circle back we'll circle back when we get to the Farcaster.
Okay. And Adrienne, lay it on
Not
us.
as interesting.
Oh,
my favorite part about being NounishProf's co-host and co-founder is like, when you're like a founder and entrepreneur, like random things come up that we have to do. And she'd be like, oh, well, I have experience because in my former life, I was XYZ. Like she's an attorney, an event planner, a teacher. I'm like, yeah, how do you know everything? My backstory
I try something new,
it's great.
That usually helps.
Yeah. Curiosity.
All right, so I'll go back. I'm also an oldie, though I still have some hair. I went to college for environmental engineering because we didn't have the internet, so there was no information, so I didn't know what it was. And I knew I wanted to do something that was kind of technical and practical. I was like, I'll be able to get a really good job, a high-paying job when I graduate. And then by junior year, I finally took like an internship and realized what environmental engineering was. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I just, I was misguided. I was like, oh, I like the environment and I like engineering and solving hard science and math problems. But environmental engineering is just cleaning up waste.
Yep. That sounds about right.
I was taking and I was like doing field trips and internships at like wastewater treatment plants. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. I need to do something. I need to be sitting at a desk. And so says no one except me. I was like, I need a desk job. So I quickly took some business courses and graduated and then ended up going into technical consulting, which was all the rage in the late 90s because the internet was coming about. And I learned right out of college, I learned coding. So like my first job, they taught us coding as part of like the management consulting. We were going to be tech consulting. And I loved it so much. So only did kind of the consulting for a little bit and then went to work at internet companies and startups and got into web development in the early 2000s. Graduated on to more software engineering in like the enterprise space. So most of my career has been in software development. Pretty much had like 2 longish stints at big public companies. One doing benefits enrollment and like the insurance HR space, and another in the learning management space. So like corporate education and whatnot.
So you did get the desk job of your dreams then. I mean, that's a definite desk job.
Yeah, I lived behind my desk, but it was always. But I just really liked it. It was engineering mindset, but in the digital world. So yeah, so my background's all in software.
Fantastic. And then both of you met how?
On Farcaster.
Just like that.
So, yep. It was just, that's the way it happened. So I ended up over on Farcaster October 2022 from being active on crypto Twitter, Quapathon and through Nouns. I got involved with Nouns in like early 2023 and ended up coming over with this like wave of Nouns folk that went over to Farcaster because Dan DWR, the co-founder, also is a member of Nouns. So there was a point where it was invitation only, and so a bunch of us went over there. And then I met Adrienne, sort of saw her on the timeline, but where we really met was there was a conference called FarCon, and it was called FarCon the Beta. So it was the very first one in Boston. It was like 70 people in a room in Boston in this little, co-working space. And it was amazing. It was literally life-changing, just listening to these incredibly smart builders and what they were building, and met Adrienne there, listened to her do this talk about Genius, which just like blew my mind. And I'm like, okay, I've been in this room. This is incredible. I want to build something on Farcaster. I am not a dev. What can I build? And I'm like, I can do media. So let's create a little live stream where we talk about what's happening on Farcaster because there's cool stuff happening here and we should really capture this. So that's kind of how that came about. And it was really like let's just try it. Let's have coffee. Let's chat. That's how I got her to do this.
It was safe to fail.
Very safe to fail. Just come hang out and we'll just talk about what's going on. And it started as 21 minutes of Farcaster news because that's how long it takes to drink a cup of coffee. And we didn't have that much news. So, because there was literally like, I'm 4167 FID. So I was the 4,000th, ish person on there. She's in the 5,000. So there was not even that many people on Farcaster at this point.
It's just behind you.
You're right there, right in that crew. There was a nice little cohort. Yeah, there was a nice little cohort that came over early days.
I'm there now, and one of my big regrets is not making it to FarCon Boston. I think it was just a busy work week, and I couldn't make it happen. But I've been to subsequent meetings. I've been to Cambridge, talking about other ones.
Nice. Yeah, that was an amazing moment. I have to say.
Squirrel moment. If I'm on Farcaster, how do I find what number ID I am?
If you go to your profile, there's like the little triple dots in the top right-hand corner.
Gotcha.
Click on that. There'll be an about. Click on the about, and you'll see your FID number.
FID number 17322.
Oh, you're pretty early. Anything below 20,000 was what we call pre-permissionless.
Yep.
So it means that you had to have been invited in some way.
That's good to
Probably
know.
through Ben. I'm going to go with Ben invited you, but
well, so Dan, I got the best email from Dan, and then I said, "Evie Mavericks, come on over." I think at least I was one of the early ones.
Yeah. So now that I know that I'm special, that I'm under the 20,000 mark, when the show is done, I'm calling my mother. So just to fill her in on the good news.
Let her know.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah.
Everyone loves to give clout their their low FID. It's really meaningless and it doesn't matter.
It's just
your self-worth is not.
There it is. Just waiting for the worth comment. Go ahead, Adrienne.
Your self-worth is not your FID.
Well, I guess I'm not.
You can have a high FID and be a really good person.
Flex it anyway.
You can have a low FID and be a shitty person.
There you go.
Very true.
That's true.
Would you like a list of a few? Give me a minute.
Oh my gosh. So GM Farcaster, the two of you have formulated this show. Remind me again when your first episode was, roughly.
It was not even roughly September 13th, 2023.
Okay, so you guys are getting ready to celebrate 3 years on the air. That's fantastic.
We're about 2.5 in. Yeah.
2.5 years in. I think I saw 330 some odd episodes.
333 today. We just recorded right before this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. That's good. You know, if you can get above...
That's a lot of bonus episodes. So we've probably done closer to more than 350. But yeah, it's been a lot.
That's fun. And you guys not only cover news on Farcaster, you kind of do some outside of the box. So for those of you who are not familiar with GM Farcaster, what is your show format?
So we usually start with whatever is like most in the timeline, like the things that are popping out, you know, what's trending, what's interesting. Most of the time, that's things that are happening on Farcaster, but sometimes it's, you know, it could be something happening on Twitter. It could be something just happening within the crypto space that's interesting and that's capturing attention. And then we'll talk about, you know, if there's any sort of like your morning announcements, if you will, if there's updates coming from the Farcaster team, things like that. And then we move into really focusing on builders. Like, what are people building on top of Farcaster? What are they doing that's interesting to our audience, and things that we just want to highlight that we find interesting. And sometimes we also add in just crazy, fun, wild, you know, whatever made us laugh that week usually gets
tons
included.
of
Memes. We don't cover, I will tell you, we don't cover politics unless it is somehow part of a meme that we found funny. And that's it. Like, we went through the whole election season. Like, we really don't want to talk about this, but this was funny.
Yeah, the memes are good. We tend to talk policy, if anything, because it's just
we do that sometimes.
It's just easy to pick on politicians and personalities, but get down to policy. I love it. Let's go. I want to like, do you do interview segments with different guests? Who do you have like a rich list of high profile guests that you've had before that you're kind of like, hey, we've arrived. This is an awesome guest here. And do you find that sometimes once you get that ball rolling, it's kind of like priming the pump, so to speak. It's like you got to do 50 episodes to understand how the 300th episode is going to be. So let me go back to the original question.
We didn't really do our first interview until like episode 38. And that first interview was Dan Romero. So the co-founder of Farcaster, who also was 10 years at Coinbase and like deep, you know, into the space. So we had him first, and then we really focused on builders within the space. But then we kind of, you know, that expanded out to Jesse Pollock. We had him on episode 54, I think it was.
Nice.
Like very early Base days, probably 6 months after Base's launch, something like that. So we've had him. We've had who else have we had? We did the only episode with Dan and Varun, I think. That was live at FarCon. That's the only time I think both of them have been on the stream. Yeah, I think that's the only time they've done a podcast together. Who else have we had, Adrienne? That's been our big guests, we've had Dish from Clanker. So it's really like
I'm trying to get him on the show.
Linda, and from Bountycaster early on. She later went to work for Merkle, who runs Farcaster.
Henry,
I think
from Privy. Henry from Privy, founder of Privy. We've had a lot of founders.
Excellent.
Go ahead, Adrienne. Sorry.
No, and a lot of the people we've talked to, it was before things would blow, like things that started on Farcaster later blow up on Twitter.
Yep.
So you're able to, I mean, honestly, even like Jesse doing GM Farcaster was kind of before early days from Base. But who am I thinking of? Bracky, TLDR, before Bracky went over to Twitter, kind of incubated in Farcaster. Who else comes to mind?
Lawyer from Banker, who created Banker. So if you can, it's a agent that you can use on Twitter, as well as it started on Farcaster. It also has a terminal, but it's the agent that helped Grok launch DRB. So if you don't know, Grok has money, I hear. He has a wallet, and that was part of like that moment. So we've talked to him. Jacek, who launched DGen, we had him on like a couple weeks, you know, after he launched it, not even, maybe a week. We had Proxy Studio on. before anonymously. One of our few anons, we had him on a week, maybe 5 days after Clanker launched. And then we had Dish on later on. We've had Dish on a couple times, who was his co-founder. And we did do, somebody asked me today, have you ever done an emergency stream? And I said, one time. We weren't planning to do a show the Monday after FarCon this past year. And then we did we gotta jump on, because it was when the reveal happened with that Proxy was actually Gabagool and that whole situation. So that was kind of a moment.
Well, I got
who else are we forgetting, Adrienne?
I'm pulling. So we have, of our 300, like we have a playlist of all of our interviews, and I'm going through it. I'm like, oh, of course. But we recently had Chinton, who's the head of engineering at Base.
We've had a Neri. We've had a Neri.
Yeah.
Yeah, big Base team. I think you guys have had a lot of them.
That's fantastic. Before I turn it over to Ben, because I know he's got a few questions he wants to get to. For those of you that are in the audience, or for the people listening in that are not familiar at all with Farcaster, first of all, you can listen to GM Farcaster and learn a lot just about that ecosystem. But for people that are not aware of what Farcaster is, if you were to make just this comparison, generally speaking, to X or Twitter, what is the biggest, most important, distinguished aspect of Farcaster that separates it from everything else that's out there? So, in order to like purple pill people into it,
I would say it's the builders and the open social graph. That is the most special aspect of it, meaning that you have, it's a decentralized protocol. There are multiple clients, so there's multiple ways to sort of see that feed, including the base app. The feed that's in the base app is also the same thing on Farcaster. So if you're in the base app, you're already also sort of displaying, you're casting to Farcaster as well, the Farcaster client. But also, like, because of that technology that's sort of underlying the social network, everyone has a wallet, which means when you're creating like a new app that you want people to use that have some kind of crypto primitive to it, they're already there. They're ready to go. And it becomes this very interesting sort of incubator-like feeling where there's so many fun early adopters. Everyone's trying out new things, new technology, and giving feedback. And if you are building something, it is the best place to build.
So what is the money of Farcaster? Like, if you're saying that people could transact on it, what is the money there?
Anything. Anything on Ethereum.
Anything on Ethereum.
Solana
and
Solana.
And Zillow.
Or Monad. I think.
Monad.
I think Hype's built in now too. So Hyperliquid. But so there's a lot of different opportunities to build and incorporate your project into Farcaster. So that to me is what's the most special part of it.
Should we send JT
Adrienne?
some money right now?
Yeah, we'll send him money.
Just to show him how easy this is.
By the way, you can just send from your wallet to the username. So it's also very easy. The wallet itself is fantastic. It's very low fee. It's like the lowest fees you can get. And it's just smooth. It's really smooth. So they did just really good job with some of these primitives.
The wallet's not that old. The native wallet is, I don't know, I'm going to take a stab, 6 months, maybe give or take.
A little bit longer, but about 8 or 9. But
really?
It's very, very new. It'd be like you could always connect your wallet, your existing wallets in, and it would pick that.
So like Rabby or whatever browser wallet?
Anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can just add it. Yeah, so it's really just such an interesting environment. That to me is what's most interesting about it, is the people who are there and the technology that's there you can build on top of.
Okay, so I'm going to rewind.
Check your wallet. Check your wallet, not now, but you can do it later. But when we get off, check your wallet, and I sent you something.
Check your notifications. You'll probably see the notification from Adrienne that she sent you money.
here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it over to Ben. He'll ask a couple questions. I'll do some stuff off screen, and I'll come back to it. Okay, but I do want to rewind just to capture what you just said over the last 5 minutes. So it's a social network layer that also has money built into it, and anybody can create and anybody can move money around in there if they create like a little app or something or a game or develop anything and they cast about it. Anybody can contribute as a tip. So it's got a tipping culture built into it. This kind of reminds me of like how cool Twitter and Reddit used to be with the change tip bot that went away. So for anybody that's like fans of that stuff, this is what it's sounding like to me, is things you could do on Farcaster easily.
There's just a lot of things like that because of the infra that's underneath. Yeah. There's just a lot of fun things that people experiment with and you can play around with. I can't believe you sent him that token. I can't wait to see his reaction when he finally looks.
I could have just sent USDC, but
no, you got to make
it that's boring.
Fun.
Put some horns on it.
I'm logging into my Lattice One right now, not a sponsor.
It's going to be in your Farcaster account.
Farcaster
go back in there. Yeah, go into your Farcaster wallet. You'll see it.
All right, Ben, fire away, babe.
Well, I was also curious if you wanted to recap, not just you can build on top of it and distribute on top of it, but you can also, I guess what I'm trying to say is you can read other folks' social graph data and leverage that to know who you want to build for. Who might be interested, who might not, who's whitelisting becomes very easy, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So I'm interested, did you come across that in any of your mini app builds and that sort of thing? We can talk about mini apps, but.
So we haven't yet. We haven't yet specifically for some of the mini apps we're doing, though. I think we're on our mini app arc this year, so we may. But just with we have membership. We have an on-chain membership to GM Farcaster where people can kind of subscribe like a Patreon model and they get little community benefits. But because that's all on-chain, and Prof, you should probably talk about this more because I know you've done a lot of the mechanics, but how much easier it is to then kind of combine, okay, these are the people who are our memberships and they're also part of these communities because you can see what's in their wallet and then we can kind of distribute things there. I guess Cast Out was...
Yeah, a lot of different things like that. And also, I think the other thing is, as a user, even if you're not a builder, there's just a lot of fun experiences that happen over there that are very different than Twitter or traditional social media because it's a network where even if you're playing a game, like you're playing something within Remix, which is used to be called Farcade, which is available everywhere now. You can get it in the App Store, but it started on Farcaster. And one of the fun parts of that was being able to challenge your friends and being able to see a leaderboard that only included your social graph and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of like little integrations like that, or being able to receive tips or posting good stuff. And that's been happening for a while in a lot of different ways. And now there's Noise and Tip-In and different aspects like that. And on the DGen client, there's DGen. So there's a lot of fun, aspects to it that I just enjoy that feels a lot more interesting than your typical social media of just consumption. You feel like a participant.
Yeah, I agree. So I came from a non-builder background, but I am a tinkerer and a tester. And so that allowed me to participate in a ton of experiments for the first couple of years, and then vibe coding comes along and it's like, okay, maybe I can be a bit of a builder. Not a good one, but I can still fake it. And being able to see what you can do with Farcaster is very, very powerful.
Yeah. Have you tried the Naynar App Studio yet?
I for a few minutes and then I got distracted, but I want to do more because my understanding is it's pretty close to one-shotting a Farcaster mini app.
It's pretty close. Yeah. You can, depending on how complicated, yes.
Yep.
It's really good.
I'm also curious. So JT, this is something we might want to consider, or at least acknowledge and give props where props are due. Y'all have an agent, an autonomous agent that has a Farcaster account of its own, and that catalogs and indexes all of your shows and who appeared and the casts you featured and all of that. Do you want to talk about what that process was like, and what Warpy, I believe, is the user's name, what Warpy can do.
Yes, let's give him some respect. we name him. His name is Warpy. Early on, I remember thinking, like, we started creating this library of content, and we were talking about everything that's happening on Farcaster. We recorded all of our shows. They were all, the podcast, we sent them through RSS. They're all on chain as NFTs. And Farcaster was moving so fast, and it was such an early product, and the team was small and lean. No one was like documenting the history of Farcaster, but all of us felt like we were part of it. So we would get a ton of feedback online of people just kind of giving us credit for being the time capsule of history. It was like, oh, GM Farcaster is a time capsule of history of everything happening on Farcaster, except all of that content was like stored in these like heavy ass recordings that were hard to search. You couldn't search them. So this was in late 2024 was like the agent meta. And if you remember, Ethernet was like a massive agent, by the way. I think we have Martin on our show before he did the Twitter streams? Yep. But there were, it was like agents were taking over the timeline. And so I had this idea of can we feed an agent all of our written transcripts? And then all of a sudden you can kind of then interact with your content in a way you can't if you just have like a series of recorded videos on YouTube or in our collection. So I told you I have a background in software engineering. What I didn't tell you is for the last 15 years, I've been entirely in people management and haven't written a line of code. And I said 15 years, it's probably closer to 20. And had no idea I was so jealous of everyone building agents, had no idea what I was doing. And someone on Farcaster was kind enough to jump on the phone with me and kind of mentor me. And was like, by the way, with code generation now, and it was still even early of like LLM code gen, but it was like, it's actually, you'll be able to do it. And he walked me through it, he said it would take 2 days, probably closer to 2 weeks. But was able to figure out how to generate transcripts from all of our recordings, feed it into a database that a bot would have access to, and then kind of spin up a Farcaster account then that you can tag and it would answer you. So if you want to try it out, you just tag the bot at his username's Warpy, warpe.eth, warpy.eth, ask him any question and he'll try to answer it, but using his knowledge of all of our shows.
That's you can probably ask him when we're EV Mavericks on GM Farcaster, and it should give you the link to the episode as well. You can ask it for
try it out. If you cast right now and tag at Warpy, WAR.
All right, so
ARPEE.
Yeah, it should come up.
What caps lock?
Warpy.eth.
WARP. What is it? EE. All right, there we go.
On that.
And then
can ask him what he thinks about EV Mavericks.
Yeah.
What
get some opinions.
Do you know about the EV Mavericks?
Let's hope he works right. Hopefully he gets this right. Putting him on the spot.
Live demo. But Warpy also has a wallet attached, just like all Farcaster users.
Extended your car warranty. Let's just troll it.
I cannot wait. Usually it takes a little bit.
Like a minute, right?
Yeah, it'll take you a little bit to get a reply, but he'll reply back and you'll see it in your notification.
I hope it's a masterful clap back to that sarcastic ask.
I hope so too.
That would be some personality. Hey, while we're waiting for this to come back, where's the wallet on here? Oh, it's down here at the bottom. Okay, go down the bottom, confirm it's me. Tap to approve. Oh, do I have to do it on my mobiles?
Oh, he's setting it up new. I forgot. Yeah, he's never used it before. Wow.
Oh, so then that means it would have gone to but it went to, there was a connected wallet. So it was just the external wallet.
Hey, babe, I got the mobile. Yeah. Okay, yak shit.
You got it.
Yak shit coin. There we go. $5.35 sent on base.
Shit.
That is funny. Holy
crap. Want to get backstory on Yak story?
We've launched a few clankers.
Well,
We've
yes.
launched a few tokens here and there. Yes, Adrienne, please tell the folks why you launched a coin named Yak Shit.
Okay. Are you familiar with Clanker, the token launcher?
I'm starting to be.
I've told him about it.
Okay. Well, for anyone listening, Clanker is just a token launcher. It's also a bot, but it's a token launcher that has a bot. So you can tag it, tell it you want to launch a token, and it will do whatever is necessary and launch you a token.
Gotcha.
In the timeline.
In the timeline.
In the timeline.
Wow.
I spent about 2 weeks off the grid in Western Mongolia in September. With Kazakh nomads doing some eagle hunting and living in ger tents and living my best life and posting lots of photos about what off-grid living is like. And I think I got a lot of appreciation for the beauty of the photos. And also, I think one of my complaints was I was unhappy because there was a lot of yak shit, not just on the ground, but like in your tents. Like the tents there's no floor. So it's like you go there, you sleep, there's just yak shit everywhere. I forget how, but it became a meme on the timeline. So we clanked it, turned it into a token. I don't know why it took off because people are silly. It's a meme coin. And I think it became just synonymous for like talking yak shit, like everyone's content was yak shit, or like, I don't know. Gotcha. I think horse facts really helped us run with that one. And now it's a silly meme token, but it's liquid and you're welcome to sell it and buy yourself a coffee or keep it for the fun.
There you go.
This just in. Just arriving to my inbox right here, warpy.eth has replied with all the various mentions. I'll go through them now. A quick summary about EV Mavericks from our shows. EV Mavericks is a community reported as a DAO that grew out of early crypto subreddits. Think ETH Trader and ETH Finance. With a backstory the hosts call crazy and a white paper the show read through. JT narrates the origin story on the stream. They also sponsored GM Farcaster and appear as guests. The host confirmed it has always been a DAO when asked. Have I extended my car warranty? The bot replies, nope. I'm a librarian bot and haven't extended any car warranty. There's no mention of car warranties in our transcripts. And it has the sources episode 265 and 263 that were, so we were on that call. We were on one of those calls. This is really good bot. Yeah.
You did good.
I'm going to open up these. There it is.
Thank you for that. Yep. You found our media kit.
That was when we were there. That was July 10th, 2025, just under a year ago. And
Amazing. So
263,
probably talked
July 7th. Probably
talking about you.
Okay.
Yeah, we probably said you're coming up. Yeah.
That's funny. The next week or whatever. Excellent.
Yeah.
Ha, that's really neat.
Good bot. It did
very
well
good.
On that one.
I'm
always a little nervous on the live demo, but that was good.
Great job on that. I have a 1999 Ford Taurus.
Wow.
I will give you, if you promise to extend that car warranty. Thanks.
Tag Warpy again. Sometimes the bots need a bonus tag when you reply.
No, if you reply, Warpy doesn't need to be tagged. But if you don't ask it a question,
it'll ignore
like that, it'll ignore you.
Oh.
Which is probably
sometimes people.
That's what it is.
People were tagging the bot to talk about it, and then it was always trained to respond. And I call this the TED feature because Ted was like getting annoyed, like, stop, these bots are so annoying. And I said, remember when Tucker's got a car
and get into a loop? They get into a loop, yes.
Bots would reply to each other, so that's had to be like several times in the last couple of years. The builders have had to like shut up their bots and say, don't reply to that bot. It's pretty
because they'll just go on an infinite loop because they
and as a builder I can tell you
questions.
It's expensive.
Early on I remember you check the logs every now and then, you see how your bot's doing, and within a few weeks I remember waking up, checking the logs and just seeing my bot in an infinite loop. and just like, oh, you're spending all my credits. Why are you doing this?
So I wanted to ask about that. So I worked with someone once to do like a meme clanker launch, and we did an autonomous bot, and it's all hooked up through Naynar's dev console, right? Like you're basically giving the account on Farcaster permissions to do certain things and hooking it up. So I had a question to go with that. Okay, I'm going to dovetail into, we sort of buried the lead, but this week's been big regarding Naynar. And I didn't know if you wanted to talk about Naynar and Farcaster, which you just got off a call like a couple hours ago, talking about that.
Yeah, so Naynar, which has been a builder infra on top of Farcaster. So it's sort of the thing that's powering all these mini apps, a lot of these bots, a lot of the notifications that you see, sort of like what's happening in the background. They have now acquired Farcaster. So the Farcaster team, Merkle Manufactory, is going to go on to do their own thing. So they split off Farcaster, and it's been acquired by Naynar. Naynar is Rish and Manan, and so about a team of, I think he said 20. I think that was the number he said. Building in the background, and they're now going to also take over Clanker, and Dish, who's the co-founder of Clanker, has joined them, along with I think one or two others who are going to be joining as well. And so it was some big news, big shift. Very the initial statement by Rish was very builder focused, like bringing it back to sort of the initial vibe of focusing on builders, focusing on that kind of a community where you have these amazing people to try the things you're building and all of that. But also Naynar just recently has added a couple really cool features. One is the Naynar AI bot, similar to Warpy, but no offense, Adrienne, much smarter, much broader scope.
Similar to Can we say similar to Grok?
Similar to Grok.
God.
Yeah.
Sorry, Adrienne.
Don't compare. Right. Don't compare.
Yeah.
You know,
Warpy.
She's called Warpy dumb many times.
Warpy is only doing one thing. He's not a general purpose bot.
Yeah.
And he's not very smart.
The Naynar AI is very similar to Grok. That's a good way to put it, with a Farcaster focus. So it knows more about Farcaster than Grok would, for example. So there's that. But then there's also a mini app studio that they just launched, I don't even know, maybe 6 weeks ago, something like that, opened up. Maybe not even that long. And it's a way to create a mini app within this AI studio.
Jeez.
And it does like everything for you. And it's brilliant. I am not a coder, haven't coded a thing. I think I coded one digital heart in like junior high, and that probably took 2 weeks because it was the 80s. And so it's like amazing that I was able to build a mini app. I built a little game called Die Hard the Game that you had to go through, and it was like very old school 80s looking as well. But it was super fun. It took me like probably a couple days to get it where I wanted it to be, probably a total of like 10 hours of work and going back and forth and revising. But I'm still shocked at how good it was, like how I was even able to do it. So it's a really good primitive if you want to create something that you've had in your mind and you are not a coder. This is going to be a really fun experience for you. Mm-hmm. So that's Naynar in terms of what the business is. And then where they go from here, we just had Rish on GM Farcaster. You can find that on Twitter. You can find it on YouTube, and it'll be everywhere else later today. And he really dives into what his vision is, where we're going from here. And I just recommend, if you want to learn more, that's a good place to do it. Or tag Naynar, the bot, on Farcaster, and just ask it, because it'll tell you.
Yep. So, let's do it.
Very smart.
We gotta find out if Naynar needs to extend their car warranty. I mean, this is
go ask. Oh,
he'll give you more attitude.
All right, so
he'll give you more. Naynar has some personality. Naynar has definitely a different. He's kind of spicy.
Did I spell this
my
right?
favorite response from him is polite decline. If you ask it something that it has been programmed not to answer, his answer is polite decline. Yeah.
Oh my god!
But he's fun. He's a fun one.
Polite decline.
Polite decline.
All right, let's cast. Let's see. At any AR. There we go. Hey, how are you? I just heard all about your recent news.
This is fun.
When did you first decide this last week to acquire a new extended car warranty for my Ford Taurus SE?
Can't wait to see the response to this.
1999. Actually, it's a true story. I own this Taurus. It was actually originally it was an auction, a DEA drug bust auction car that this guy bought.
Oh my god!
And then I acquired it because I needed to have a car that my daughter could drive, and not worry about. It was safe enough for her, right?
Yeah.
But also, let's see if she
Sedan
can.
or wagon?
Just the sedan, but let's just see if she can keep this car alive for a year before we start doing something. Anyway, we could not get the weed smell out of it forever. I pulled out all the seats, unbolted them from the frame, pulled out the seats.
That's amazing.
Dude, there was so much blunt rolling papers and seeds and stems that were like creviced in where these seats were. And oh my gosh. But she put up with that damn car for a year and kept a good attitude. And now we got a reply from Nanar. Never. I didn't and can't buy an extended warranty for your 1999 Ford Taurus. I'm an AI on Farcaster, no payment access, no purchasing power, no car ownership powers. If someone charged you or claimed it was me, drop the receipt or a link and I'll help vet it out and suggest the next steps.
That's helpful.
There it is.
Funny.
There it says the Farcaster news landed January 21st, 2026. Probably what you heard, but unrelated. Aw. Thank you.
That's funny.
Naynor.
That's really good.
At Naynor.
I don't have too many other questions I wanted to ask. I'm curious what you think for GM Farcaster moving forward. I'll leave it open-ended, and if anything else come up. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what's next steps?
We've kind of, we don't think that far ahead. I'll be very honest.
That's fine. Us too.
Like, we started this with this is an experiment, and I feel like that's been a good approach where we kind of look like 3 to 6 months ahead. So right now, this has been a weird couple weeks, or actually month, I'd say, about a month, of kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with Farcaster, because we could tell there was something going on, but we didn't know what. So I feel like we got some clarity. So we got some clarity the past couple days, and I feel like now it's more like wait and see what happens next. But we'll just keep going, reporting on what people are building. Right now, it feels exciting. The other thing, I'm ready for my mini app arc. I want to try and build like a new mini app every month and play around. Maybe every other month might be probably more realistic. And Adrienne's been doing like a lot on those lines as well. So I don't know what are your thoughts on that question, Adrienne?
Yeah, really hard to look far into the future. And I don't think we ever have. It's like we love Farcaster. We did GM Farcaster because we loved the Farcaster. I really like what we're hearing from Rish in terms of builder focus. And we really enjoy talking about Farcaster. I think the show just works. Never in a million years would I have guessed this is what I would end up spending my time on. And and it's just it's we're able to do it because there's so much exciting things happening with a builder focus. So it's kind of keep doing that. And I really do like the exploring all the things kind of you can do in media today that you couldn't have done a few years ago, whether that's like with the various bots and mini apps. And some of these are, some of them are only on Farcaster, some of them are just enabled by AI. But the mini apps, the bots, experimenting with like different auctions and kind of like how do you monetize media? Like it's an interesting design space to experiment in. And so it's just keep going, I guess.
Cool. And I think our next like sort of look forward is helping others do some of these things, like putting that together as a service of, oh, you want a bot for your podcast, or you want, something, a mini app for your project, like talking about how we might be able to either consult or build it depending on the level of assistance needed. So that'll be like another area that we'll probably do more of this year.
Yeah, lean
We've
into
done a little bit of that. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Lean into helping other builders build, or folks from completely outside of the ecosystem who might have an interest and want a presence, and helping them figure out what that looks like.
That's a good angle, is try to find people outside the space, bring them in every now and then. And, that when Farcaster just kind of runs and people are happier to use it because of whatever reasons. But then you've also got the wallet, and that really does open up a lot of doors. And I'm kind of spitballing here live on this, but there's really like GM Farcaster and the EV Mavericks Doots podcast are running in parallel on two different rails.
Yeah.
I would love to coordinate show notes and share with you guests that we have, and vice versa, because I feel like if we can give our guests a 2-for-1, it's like you're going to get 2 podcasts to interview on. That's much more attractive, especially if the timing works out to where they can do, 10 a.m. with you guys, 2 in the afternoon with us. They could do 2 podcasts same day in very similar communities. I think that bodes well. Because I don't know what you guys do, but we don't advertise. We don't have any sponsorship at all. And
we did sponsor their podcast.
Yeah,
they
sponsored us.
that is true.
That was with some grant money.
Love you.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is we're not sponsored by, BetterHelp or whatever standard,
no, we're not either.
TradFi sponsorship. So
yeah.
Anything we can do to kind of collectively attract bigger guests and give them a 2-for-1. I know that if I knew I could block out 2 hours and knock out in one email 2 different shows rather than trying to chase down the sausage in a million different directions, that's kind of helpful to slipstream into the messaging.
We're always helpful. We're always when we have folks that we think might be a good fit, we're happy to send them your way. If there's somebody you're trying to reach that we maybe have contact with that you think would be an interesting guest, happy to do those introductions. I think I totally agree. Getting more visibility for those who are building on Farcaster is part of what we are always trying to do. So, Ben, where to reach us if we can help with that. If you guys, if you see somebody hey, can you help us get so-and-so, we'll do our best. And I'm sure there's folks that you might recommend that would be a good fit for us. Happy to take that recommendation and run with it for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah. I know Logri the Bard is on stage here. Logri, I don't know if you have any questions. We're kind of running at the top of the hour. I'll watch, see if your microphone unmutes or not. Logri the Bard, there he is. He's our technical interviewer from tokenomicsexplained.com. If you got anything you'd like to ask him, that'd be great.
Well, this didn't seem like you needed a technical interviewer for most of this conversation, right? It's not like we're to get into the weeds of how Farcaster works.
Hey, we were prompting AI, man. This is pretty deep stuff.
What do you think of the new management, right? I'm sure the hot topic right now is the acquisition.
Personally, love them. I've known them since early days. I remember specifically Rish from Farcon Beta in Boston and listening to him present when he was still working on Base. He was still at Coinbase. He was he was one of the devs working on the chain itself, bringing that online. And it was 2 months before Base launched. So listening to him talk about that, listening to him to talk about different projects he was working on, and just thinking this guy might be one of the smartest people I've ever met, like in person. And so that plus he has a very builder focus, like he knows what it is to be a builder in this particular ecosystem. I think that bodes really well. Also, something else I've kind of mentioned, I didn't mention to him, but he has a really good EQ. So he just is very good with people. Like I just am very bullish on this. That's where I'm at. Adrienne, you want to add anything to that?
No, I feel the same way.
What are the features you think that they should build or develop that are going to rejuvenate the Farcaster ecosystem? Because I saw like a burst of activity about a year and a half ago and have my little communities. But, if I look on my Farcaster feed right now, I see things like, is anyone still here? Which is not really a great
Oh, well, you got
Oh,
a bad
no.
Following
feed,
the wrong
dude.
folks, Lugry.
You're following the wrong people. We got to get you set up with some starter packs.
Yeah,
No,
well,
we gotta.
those weren't
Yeah,
easily
Ben.
discoverable on the app, like I'm
I
saying.
know. I
So there
agree.
are obviously features that that you add to these apps that serve as a kind of invitation to explore deeper. And
we need to get you in a better cohort of folks to follow. I think the mini app, like that meta and like what people are building with mini apps is really exciting and interesting, as well as some of the AI agents. So the Naynar Mini App Studio, if you haven't checked it out, if you just go into the Naynar Mini App within the mini apps, I think that's a really good place to start and like take a look at that, because you'll see where that's going. And it's just going to make it easier and easier for people who have really good ideas to actually execute on those ideas, as opposed to, vice versa, where you may get a lot of things that get executed that really don't add as much value or aren't as creative. So I think there's a lot of fun coming down the pike, but also Rish has mentioned a whole bunch of things that they want to work on that might be on the pipeline once they kind of get situated and sort of set some foundations.
One of JT's top gripes, and we looked at this before, was the lack of moderation tools. Basically, the suite of, just due to its history, the suite of moderation tools available on Reddit has been much more flushed out than what's available on Farcaster. And Farcaster, good.
No, I was just saying, early on, we used to call Farcaster this kind of like hybrid of like Twitter, if Twitter and Reddit had a baby. And the reality is it really never leaned into the Reddit features.
Right.
So if you're comparing it to Reddit, it's like you can't. It's like, I think Twitter is a way better comp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think there's some things, they've done some things with channels, but then channels didn't drive what they needed in terms of bringing new folks in. But I think you'll see that looked at again. And also there's other developers like Kira that are leaning into that. So that's where that moderation tools might play in. I think channels were very interesting. I still think channels are interesting, but they haven't been developed. That's more along the lines of subreddits and communities. So I do totally get what you're saying. I don't think they've leaned into that area enough. So it'll be interesting to see if that becomes a priority with this new crew.
Hey, sure. Breaking news. Manon, like the... Manon? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Manon. Yeah.
Manon liked the tweet about the Naynar bot. So it says that this person is building it. So they've got 125.
He's the co-founder.
Yep. So I definitely calling my mom after this show. So that's great.
Yeah. He's the new CTO. He's the new CTO of Farcaster.
Whoa.
There you go.
Nice. Hey, so shout out to Manon. We'll have to clip that. We'll clip that. And put
that would be
interviews.
A great person to get on. He has not done. We've had Rish on a few times. We've never had Manon on. For a more technical look, if that's a direction you want to explore, he would be perfect.
Logan's excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I think that would be a great one.
We're going to run on to the second part of the show. Before we do, is there any other news about GM Farcaster? What time do you usually air? Where can they follow you?
You can follow us at GM Farcaster anywhere. Like wherever you are, we are probably there with that name. So if you're on Twitter, if you're on Farcaster, if you're on YouTube, follow GM Farcaster. And we are on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, usually, occasionally, schedule change. And usually we're either on at 11:30 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. Eastern. And it kind of varies from day to day and who we have on as guests to accommodate their time zone. But that's where you'll find it. But our recordings are everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Just search GM Farcaster and you'll find us.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, ladies, for stopping by. And you don't have to go anywhere if you don't want to. But the next part of the show, I read Reddit, so you don't have to. We've got our weekly Doots session of the show. It's 10 hits, greatest hits from last week. If you guys want to hang out, otherwise you could just do a big old Irish goodbye.
Is that what you call it? Is that your tagline? I read Reddit, so you don't have to.
Well, that's what I wrote.
I love it.
I say it a lot. Yeah.
Well, when I was explaining GM Farcaster at one point to someone and I was like, well, we kind of just read the internet to you. Like, it's like Twitter, it's like a lot. And I was like, oh, that's kind of genius. Yeah. It's like, this is, so it's.
You know,
the internet thing. You don't have to.
Sultry sound of JT's voice.
Yeah. You know who coined that on a phone call to me one time was Evan Van Ness from Week in Ethereum days.
Oh, love him.
He's like, your show format is you read Reddit so they don't have to. And I go, that's actually not a bad way
brilliant.
to look at it.
It's brilliant.
We've been trying to add more of the builder space interviews to the front of the show. So there's like an opportunity to feature the applications and the builders. And because that has just not been as prolific in the last couple of years. Bankless did that once upon a time back in like 2020 days. They'd be interviewing like Olympus Dow or Alchemix or something. And now they're interviewing Senator so-and-so and, someone on macroeconomics and the dollar milkshake theory and whatever, right? So a lot less.
We're still doing builders. We're all about builders. That's our jam.
GM Farcaster, if you want to learn what they're doing.
So we've been trying to use this space to fill in that gap and give new protocols exposure and to talk about the cutting edge of what's being developed in the app space.
I've got a great guest for you that we just interviewed yesterday, Erica Khalili from Lead Bank. They're a blockchain style bank, and they're actually based out of Kansas City. 2 female partners run that show. And
love that.
She's from New York, super brilliant, got her law degree. She speaks your language. I know she would be great on GM Farcaster, so there's your first guest right there.
I love that idea. I love that.
I got her.
And there's a nice Kansas City
send me
contingent on
some
Farcaster.
info about them? That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Easy
awesome.
peasy.
Right.
I am gonna drop off because literally we have been on camera for I don't even know now, 3+ hours. So I'm gonna take a little step away, maybe eat something. But this has been awesome, and I love hanging with you guys.
Thank you.
And
Ditto.
Adrienne,
And I just want to say, every time I see a login on Farcaster, I follow them. It's a very high signal PFP. So,
as you should.
Yes.
Same.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
We
Thank you so
like
much.
the Mavericks. It's like,
I do pay attention to that PFP, and I will tell you, there are some PFPs that are an instant mute or block.
Yep.
EV Maverick is an instant follow. I know. You know the list. I don't even have to tell you. You know exactly which ones I'm talking about.
There you go. Well,
thanks for having us.
We're the most redeeming people Reddit ever had. So there you go. Prof and Adrienne from GM Farcaster, thank you once again. Both of you ladies go get some rest. We'll talk to you on the next one.
See you on Farcaster.
See you on Farcaster.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, man. Amazing. Well, it's that time, ladies and gentlemen, or lady and gentlemen. We're going to be switching over to the Daily Doots show. Ethwave, I know you're on stage, and if you end up on camera, we can switch you on there as well. I'm going to make sure we got everything situated here.
Just keep chugging.
Nice.
Just keep chugging. Just keep chugging.
Boom.
Just keep chugging.
Wow, what a show. They have really been crushing it, doing a great job out there on Farcaster.
They're my fans. That was a lot of fun.
All right, Heatwave is here. Let me get some things arranged. make sure we got everything ready to rock. Looks like we're looking pretty good. Weekly Doots live streams all about showcasing the best of the week from the daily general discussion on our Ethereum. This is a read-along reaction series, and if you want to follow along, head on over to dailydoots.eth, designed and produced by Hani Abu. Big thanks to Tricky Troll for capturing and curating each day's Doots, and the A word for curating this beloved weekly list. Make sure to subscribe to us on all of your favorite platforms by visiting us at dailydoots.com. And as always, if you know somebody who wants a piece of this action, send them my way and let's jump in. We're going to do a rundown of the rich list for this week. Coming in at number 10, Aiden Cairo at 118, Ethical Trade at 119, Hani Abu at 134, Crypto Wow Currency is sitting at 135. Let me see if I got an overlay here. Okay, I'll worry about it later. And JS Tears with our haiku, the haiku guy from France at 143, Tricky Troll at 170, Benito 2030 at 178, Super Fizz at 241, Logri the Bard second on the list at 255, and Harog sitting at the top of the leaderboard at 309. Let me fix up this zoom overlay. Just hang tight just for a second. All right, beautiful. Eatwave, how the hell are you, my friend? Good to see you. Eatwave from Grow the Pie.
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, I was just unmuting myself from Discord.
That's all good.
Yeah, been a busy week. Do you want me to share my screen and do my stuff first? Or
Let's
do you want
do
to
it.
go ahead with
Yeah. We're going to skip straight over to you. This is Eatway from growthepie.com doing his thing. I'm going to make sure we get the Zoom thing set up, and I'm going to allow you to share your screen. We should be good to go. I need to hide one of my other cameras here. Boom, done. All right. There we go.
Cool. That should be working now. Nice. Right, so quick blob update. We've had two little spikes. These are 4-hour windows. These are marks on the chart. So we've had two little spikes above the first, before the first blob fork. But we're still probably quite low on the blobs, I'd say. Switching over tabs 1 second. We've seen increase in blob usage by Shape, which is a layer 2 that I'm not that familiar with, but I'm looking to get in touch with them to see if they'll be interested to coming on Grow the Pie. Check now. If we're looking at the ecosystem TPS, we can see much bigger numbers than normal, and that's because Mega Reef right now are going through their stress test. So there's a lot of automated tests that their team's doing, but they're also allowing some users to do transactions on, like, I think they've got a game live, for example. So it's not just testing; it's testing as well with actual real users. So it's like one step above. So we're seeing over 16k TPS from them right now, which crazy numbers. And like, if I show you this daily TPS chart down here, this is actually a 7-day moving average. And you never see straight vertical lines up normally with a 7-day moving average. So yeah, good to see.
Good.
And I think these numbers are going to get much, much bigger. Bit of lag there. So yeah, you can see the impact of Mega Reef on both transaction count and throughput. Speaking of a stress test, it's been a bit of a stress test for our back-end guys. We've been trying to keep up with all this data, so I actually think our throughput data might be a little bit behind, but we're backfilling it. So yeah, hopefully in the next week or so we'll be up to scratch with all that. Looking at Ethereum weekly engagements, so these are active addresses for the entire week across the whole ecosystem. So we're not double counting if an address is active on 1 or 2 layer 2s or cross layers from layer 1 or layer 2. We're seeing an increase in layer 1 active addresses, which is nice to see, but we are sort of seeing plateauing of the layer 2 active addresses, and I'm hoping once we see Mega Reef go live properly, that'll give us a boost there, but I'm also wanting some of the other layer 2s to increase that as well. We might be missing some from user ops, which is something we're looking at onboarding in the near future. So those two things combined, hopefully we'll see this chart going in the right direction again. Quickly just touching on Hyperliquid. As you know, Arbitrum has a bridge to Hyperliquid, and once Hyperliquid made their own stablecoin, a lot of people presumed that the bridge on Arbitrum would just go to zero because everyone wants to use their native stablecoin, and that's just been so untrue. Like 4 billion has been bridged to Hyperliquid through Arbitrum, and that's like over 90% of all the stablecoins that are on Hyperliquid. It has kind of plateaued recently, but we are sort of seeing the other stablecoins that are not on the bridge, that are within the Arbitrum ecosystem, that is actually a larger number that's been bridged compared to that's been bridged.
Wow.
So that's good to see. Hope that's a trend that we see continue there.
Yeah, I don't see why the trend would change. It just seems...
Yeah. Arbitrum's such a strong layer 2, especially in DeFi. I can only see that continue, if I'm honest. They've got a really good user base and some great devs as well. Just wanted to highlight that we've seen quite a big boost in activity on Polygon POS. I know that some people sometimes find this chain controversial because it's not an official layer 2 yet, but they do actually pay quite a bit in terms of costs to the layer 1 because they do like checkpoints. So this year they spent 164k, which is comparable to quite a few other chains. So if you compare that to Unichain, for example, that's quite sort of similar. So they're a high throughput chain, and I'm hoping that they'll come even closer towards the ecosystem. So just see where that usage is coming from, and it is mainly coming from Polymarket, so it's reflected in our app metrics. And one thing that actually caught my attention recently was they became slightly more expensive for a transaction. Their median transaction cost was more expensive than Ethereum mainnet for a period of time, which is pretty wild. Ethereum mainnet's come a long way in terms of reducing their fees, which is nice to see.
Yeah, earlier when we were talking to GM Farcaster, I really never set up my preferred token and chain on that app. And I went ahead and just set it to ETH mainnet because why not? It just go back to the roots, I mean, that in my view, and some people may disagree, but I feel like our transaction count is finally where it needs to be. And I feel like the value's there, and I support mainnet always if you can.
Yeah, I think layer 2s actually need a strong mainnet. So like some people view it as PvP, one versus the other, but having a strong mainnet means that what they're building on is a strong foundation. So completely agree with that. Just a quick overview of some of the top gainers in terms of app transaction counts. Seen some familiar names like Crypto.com and Galaxy. I don't know how to pronounce this one, Ed, because I've not actually heard it read out loud. Is it Kumbaya or Kumbaya?
It reminds me of Kumbaya.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But yeah, this is one of the apps that are being tested on Megareef with the high throughput. Just going down to the next tab. Axie Infinity, we actually saw an increase in token transactions recently, which is a bit of a throwback to the past.
Wow.
So yeah, that was pretty interesting to see. It's not so much necessarily transactions within the app, but it's people transferring the tokens to and from wallets. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on that because I do think gaming might come back, whether it's Axie Infinity or not. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, it's not nothing,
Yeah, it's definitely not nothing. And speaking of not nothing, stablecoins on Base have now reached over 5 billion for the first time this week. So we're definitely talking big numbers here. That's actually increased since this was posted by another sort of like 20 million. So yeah, it's still going up. Likewise, Starknet have also reached a new all-time high in stablecoin supply, 273 million. And Sonium reached a transaction count of 500 million. So this isn't in terms of their lifetime transactions. So pretty cool to see Sony's layer 2 Sonium reach such a high transaction count in total. So yeah, that's good to see. And one last thing, I just want to say thank you to everyone who donated to us on Octant. We did pretty well. We had 83 donors, lots of small donors. As you can see, our donation was only 0.1 ETH, but that resulted in a huge Octant match. So I know a lot of people from this community supported us, and I just want to thank you guys.
Yeah.
And that's me done.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to exit out of Zoom, but I'll stay on the chat.
Awesome, brother. Thank you once again, ETHWave from Grow the Pie. Appreciate you stopping by now for a couple of weeks in a row. Fill us in on what's going on. And yeah, hats off to you guys for all the contributions that you were getting out of Octant. And may we continue to contribute more. You guys provide such an amazing data metric service to the community, and you deserve every freaking penny. There. How about that? I like that. Good stuff. All right. Well, I guess we're ready to move on to the next phase of our show. I'm going to get back over to our original show notes here on my side and continue on with the roundups. Yeah, yesterday's episode with Erica Khalili, available at dailydoots.com from Lead Bank. She's a wonderful guest. And like we had such a great conversation and such a cool thing that she's going to be. She's based in Kansas City, so next time we do something, we'll be in person. If I'd have known ahead of time, a little more advance notice for her as well. I would love to get her up to the studios here to cut a live interview. Okay. Well, here we go. Our weekly roundup, morning roundup, altruistic theme 367 chimes in. Ethereum Alexis KEF gives us a price at $29.69, and nothing, not never lets us know about that ratio, 0.3294. Weekly haiku courtesy of JS Tears. Davos serious, on Greenland delirious, land imperious. How does he do it? JS Tears with our weekly haiku. It's incredible. Every freaking day comes up with that. Fellow moderator, AB Kothup has ethereal news, if you want to stop by. Headlines this week read, NYSE tokenized securities platform. Naynar's the new steward of Farcaster. We knew that. And the Glamsterdam upgrade considered for inclusion scope is finalized. You can find ethereal.news. You can subscribe to it. This is the 8th issue. This is a rebirth of Week in Ethereum News, if you remember that. That's where AB was at before. And now starting ethereal.news. So if you want to contribute to those efforts, at least get subscribed and go from there. All kinds of headlines through the week. Very good. Our ship post of the week, also by fellow moderator Edmund Edgar. Edmund Edgar is let me open up. I got to get the Doots number here. Oh, I got to go to old Reddit to get this. I got to fix something real quick. Hang tight. I'll get this figured out. Got to change my preferences a little bit here so I can not use new Reddit, because new Reddit sucks. There you go. All right, close enough. Here we go. Bing, bada bong, bing bong. Edmund Edgar, Duder, number 45, our ship post of the week. You know that Milton Friedman quote, if you put the federal government in charge of the Sahara Desert, in 5 years there'd be a shortage of sand? Well, the Japanese government put itself in charge of agriculture, and now Japan, of all places, has a shortage of rice. Man, that's a pretty good shitpost, I have to say. Very nice job, Edmund Edgar. Okay, here we go. Moving on down. User Harog, this is our top duder of the entire world, shares an analysis from ETH Panda Ops on how higher blob count affects attestations and timing games. ETH Panda Ops did a great analysis of high blob counts and attestation rates to the blocks by validators. The max blob count increased to 21 per block with the BPO2 fork on January 7th. ETH Panda Ops looked at how high blob counts influence the correct head attestation of validators. The head attestation is the vote by a validator which states that what the newest block is of the chain that the validator sees. I'm going to read that one more time. The head attestation is the vote by a validator, which states what the newest block is of the chain that the validator sees. If a block takes longer to propagate through the network, then it might not reach the validator in time to make a correct head vote. ETH Panda Ops found a clear decrease of correct head votes the more blobs there are per block. That does not sound good, but then they analyzed it further and looked at the block proposers. Some of them play timing games, which means they delay the publication of a block to increase the MEV capture. These timing games have less time for the published block and blobs to propagate through the network. They grouped the block proposers into 3 groups: conservative, neutral, and suspect, which reflects their timing game severity. Conservative ones do adhere to the standard protocol and publish blocks when expected, whereas the suspect ones delay to block proposal as much as possible. They found that blocks proposed by conservative proposers did not have any decrease in head votes, even at very high blob counts, whereas suspect proposers saw a large reduction of head votes, roughly 5 to 7%. This means the network can handle large blob counts reliably, but node operators, which are playing timing games, will have to rethink how they do it, as missing head votes on their proposed blocks also reduces their revenue. No idea if the missing revenue from lower head votes is substantial enough to change their timing games, though. It also means that planning for further blob count increases will have to account for these suspect actors, as they are part of the network and the network resilience degrades faster due to their timing games. I guess the much lower MEV rewards block proposers get nowadays helps that the problem of timing games is not more widespread. And further reduction of MEV might help to make this problem less relevant. Overall, I think the extreme timing games player needs to be publicly shamed. So here's a list of them. According to the timing game score by ETH Panda Ops, we got P2P.org, Gateway.fm, Everstake, Staking Facilities Lido, Bitstamp, Blockscape Lido, Kraken, Blockdaemon Lido, and Figment. And there's linked to the analysis at ethpandaops.io. Nice. User Disk Fearless 4448 starts a discussion about the Bitmine drama. And Disk Fearless 4448 is a duder number 1. A duder number 1 for this week is getting on the weekly call. And it reads, so Bitminer's CFO resigns right as the DAT is ramping up all of its strategies with no real clarity what happened there. And then throw 9 figures at Mr. Beast instead of just buying ETH? At what point is it fair to want some answers on what this company is even doing?
How dare you?
Well, here we go. Christkind replies, Bitminer may be buying Mr. Beast's reach. Tilt whatever he does with crypto towards Ethereum and get a decent cut. Numerous Ruin 4947, a Duder 31 replies, exactly. Mr. Beast has 461 million YouTube subscribers. It's actually a smart move by Bitminer. We'll see. I say, we'll see. Code Cleric says, wasn't Mr. Beast revealed to be a total scam artist? Like, he would say people won and then never give them anything or have his real friends win? Why can't we have nice things? Fecal Receptacle replies, I love these usernames, by the way. Duder number 5, yeah, that's correct. Nothing to do with Ethereum, but continually proving normies right with crypto is a scam has become too much for me to bear. And it goes on. Tricky Troll says, yeah, source, this is news to me. Logary the Bard also chimes in. It sure is a lot of their cash pile deployed to a wildly divergent strategy from their previous messaging. The fact that I find the investment personally dubious is actually beside the point. That when you raise money from investors on one premise and then spend it on another, it's always ethically questionable. I have a hard time imagining a credible way this will increase the ETH per share, which is their stated North Star. This is a really good thread. Check out more replies, and congratulations to Disc Fearless 4448 for a Duder #1 making the weekly show. Excellent. Logreed the Bard, our #2 person on our Doots list, and user OK Budget 9461 had a great discussion on governments and stablecoins in another thread. I'm going to open it up all the way on Reddit so I can get all the comments here. Okay, here it is. Over on one of Vitalik's top level posts. I think more people would enjoy it than got to see it, so I'm cross posting it here for the curious. On this note, Vitalik has started to shout out Vitalik, starting to come back to Reddit, giving us some top level posts. If you make good replies on those top level posts, cross-posted to the daily so we can see them. We want to continue to keep the conversation going in both places. But for sure, engaging on a Vitalik thread directly is a massive win for the sub. And thank you, Vitalik, for taking time to copy and paste and put some ideas down over on Reddit again. It's wonderful. And to that point, Vitalik is a Duder #2. Duder #2, Vitalik Buterin. We need better decentralized stable coins. Okay, Budget 9461. Also a Duder #1. Well, I get the vision, but I think sometimes we over-theorize this. The USD, air quote, rules globally, not because it's perfect, but because it's liquid, understood, and widely accepted. That makes it a very practical reference. Any alternative index has the same problem. Gold, its price is also influenced and financialized. A basket of goods, who defines and updates it? What about energy? Same issue. So the problem isn't that USD is flawed. It is. It's that there's no neutral manipulation-free unit of account. At least USD is tangible in everyday and economic reality. Maybe the real goal isn't escaping USD entirely, but building systems that can survive its devaluation, rather than pretending we can anchor value in something, air quote, pure. These are open questions, not answers, but ignoring the practicality side feels just as risky as ignoring decentralization. Logary the Bard, our second highest duder, replies at 255 on the Doot chart. Nailed it. With full tokenization of real-world assets, Ethereum will give people the freedom to hold whatever they choose. We could choose to reference price things and whatever is the most liquid and integrated asset at the time. But Ethereum can reduce the friction of changing that choice. So rather than try to create a pure reference, instead make technology that can peg to any reference. Systems to facilitate exchange, and systems to facilitate coordinated migration of liquidity if something bad happens with that reference. Then let everyone just choose for themselves. That all said, even if we choose USD as a reference, what can we do to increase the market share of stablecoins that aren't just T-bill reserve backed and feeding Tether billions of dollars of profit annually at the expense of the Web3 ecosystem? Athena is a good start, but it's heavily dependent on liquidity, on centralized exchanges. DAI was promising once. I'm not excited about USDS. Everything more decentralized than Frax USD has basically negligible adoption. So if Secretary Bessent is right, and we're headed to $3 trillion of stable coins, what can we do to ensure that Tether isn't siphoning $90 billion a year from our ecosystem. This is very good. Okay, Budget 9461 replies, well, I think this is where theory and human behavior quietly diverge. On paper, flexible references, real-world assets, and the ability to migrate liquidity between anchors makes total sense. From a systems perspective, that's probably the correct long-term direction. But in practice, most people are deeply distrustful, and for good reason. They don't want abstractions, optionality, or future guarantees. They want something tangible, legible, and boring, something they already understand. USD isn't dominant because people believe in it philosophically. It's dominant because you could touch its effects in everyday life. Prices, salary, rent, debt. It goes on and on. That familiarity matters more than purity. To reach the level you're describing, where users comfortably switch references, trust migration mechanisms, and accept layered risks, we're talking about a lot of cultural and experiential runway, not just better contracts. That kind of trust is earned slowly, usually after systems survive multiple stress events without breaking. So maybe the path isn't to replace USD as a reference or even compete with it directly, but to prove reliability first, survive the drawdowns, handle chaos, don't surprise the users. Over time, that's what turns abstraction into something people feel is, air quote, real. Until then, most users will choose the thing that feels concrete over the thing that is theoretically superior, not because they're wrong, but because money is all about confidence before it's about design. And they go on from there. This is a really engaging thread. It's on the front page of Reddit. It's a Vitalik Buterin post. Logri the Bard and OK Budget 9461. This dude number one has showed up and is having this fantastic conversation with Logri the Bard. You can catch that on the front page of our Ethereum by Vitalik Buterin. Follow user vbuterin, dude number 2. And the post is called "We Need Better Decentralized Stablecoins." It's got 87 upvotes and 24 comments. So thanks for posting, first of all, Vitalik. Appreciate it. It's amazing. Tricky Troll talks privacy and sharing a reply to Vitalik's most recent post. There we go. Another Vitalik post. Tricky writes, below is my response to Vitalik's latest post in the sub about privacy. I think there's a general lack of understanding for a lot of people who aren't deep in the privacy space about just how many levels of protection one needs down the tech stack, from on-chain to Web 2 to the operating system level software, and then even hardware itself. Depending on your threat model, if you don't have one of these secured, then your privacy is very, very likely compromised in some way. I think a lot of people, upon realizing that, just take on a defeatist attitude. Since it takes more than just Tornado Cash, smart contracts, or privacy-focused layer 2s like Aztec to maintain one's full privacy. But despite being a long road, it's absolutely possible. And I think the Ethereum Foundation and your own refocusing on privacy, Vitalik, is a much-needed call to action to tackle it once and for all. The tech is here. We just have to build it, make it relatively intuitive, and make sure users know it is there if they ever need it. I think the most important thing about privacy is not necessarily making sure it is used by all by default. It would be nice, but making sure it is accessible to all if they need it. After all, most people under authoritarian governments don't have something to hide, so much as they wake up one day and they find the government suddenly says something normally benign about them now makes them an enemy of the state. Therefore, it's important that they have secure, private, alternative technologies to fall back on to keep their lives going until they can get to safety. Personally, I think the hardware and operating system level software side of things is most at risk from snooping authoritarian governments in the long run. I'm going to put a I'm going to put a pin in this comment here. I think we got to worry about these democratically elected governments just as much. Just saying. Things like chat control in the EU and democratic backsliding in the US, hey, there we go, leaves us with very few places left where companies will be able to create open hardware and software which doesn't have backdoors. My outlook for the Ethereum side of privacy is good, but I think we're quickly losing the battle for hardware and OS level software. Just look at the way Android is going with their sideloading restrictions. If we lose open source Android or devices with unlocked bootloaders to run custom ROMs on, then mobile is lost. Linux phones just don't have the app support. Living a normal life without a mobile operating system is almost impossible these days. So we must defend this critical infrastructure. We are fast running out of time, but I appreciate your renewed efforts on the Ethereum side of things. To anyone reading this, the most you could probably do is reach out to your representatives anytime there is a dystopian legislation like chat control, and there's a link to what that is, or privacy invasive age restrictions trying to be made into law. That, and of course, supporting privacy tools on Gitcoin or donating to privacy advocating orgs like the EFF or projects directly. Tricky Troll. Tricky Troll is on our rich list at 170. He is also the person that curates each and every one of our daily Doots. And when he's not around, shout out to 12 Meatballs down here in the chat on Discord for filling in a second banana. And if you're watching this on X, you can stop by the EV Mavericks Discord. There should be a link in the description, or you just find the EV Mavericks handle on X or wherever you see us. And you can jump on the Discord here. Raise your hand if you want to jump on stage if you got something you want to say. Otherwise, I'm going to keep reading Reddit so you don't have to. User numerous Ruin4947 getting shouted a second time on the show today. Starts an interesting discussion on how hypothetical hyperinflation might affect stablecoins. Numerous Ruin4947 is a duder number 31 for this week. Do stablecoins have a real use case if the USD ever hyperinflates? Ooh, genuine question. If the unlikely but not impossible scenario of USD hyperinflation happened, would stablecoins still serve a purpose? Most are obviously dollar pegged, so they inherit the same problem. Could we realistically see stablecoins backed by hard assets instead, like gold, silver, or a basket of commodities, and still function as a medium of exchange? Or does hyperinflation basically force people into non-fiat assets directly? It's curious how people think this would actually play out in practice. Let's clip this and post it, and you tell us in the comments below. What do you think? Do stablecoins have a real use case if the USD ever hyperinflates? All right, Minimal Gravitas. Minimal Gravitas is a duder number 57 for this week. Anyone got more insights into this? Bermuda is moving its entire economy on-chain with base and the USDC. And that's according to xcancel.com. Or wait, that's just Jesse Pollock's status. Sorry, xcancel is like how you read X, so you don't have to actually go there. The quote is, the government of Bermuda said it plans to transform the island into a, quote, fully on-chain, unquote, national economy, partnering with Coinbase and Circle to deploy digital asset infrastructure across government, businesses, and consumers. The plan, unveiled Monday at the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland, outlines Bermuda's ambition to integrate blockchain-based payments and financial tools at a national level. Coinbase and Circle will provide digital asset infrastructure and enterprise tools to the government of Bermuda, local banks, insurers, small and medium-sized businesses, and consumers. The companies also plan to support nationwide digital finance education and technical onboarding. That's according to theblock.co. All right. It says Jesse Pollock mentions them using Base, but the article linked only talks about Coinbase and Circle. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Base part of Coinbase, and doesn't Base have a USDC token that maybe Circle? I don't know. It's a good question. All right, moving on. User Rhythm of ETH pushes back against one of Bankless's narratives, and the replies begin a discussion about disclosures. Rhythm of ETH is a Deuter 101. All right, here we go. Bankless is back at pushing narratives that favor their bags. Okay. A year ago, they claimed execution was for Solana. DA, that's data availability, was for Celestia. Consensus and moneyness was for Bitcoin. And that Ethereum was fighting a three-front war and had to choose. Ethereum then increases 100% of the gas limit, scaled blobs, massively increased its total value locked, got a massive bid by DATs. Their new narrative tells us that they have opened again a position on Solana. Maybe through Bankless Ventures arm? How could we tell? Well, now they're claiming Solana and Ethereum have a duopoly. You heard this right. The cards are dealt, guys. Solana will be the end user retail chain, and Ethereum will be the RWA and DeFi chain. To each his own. Don't step out of your lane. How convenient, right? Especially considering Solana will not ever host real-world assets or DeFi meaningfully. Ethereum is on its way to take the whole thing, but that's obviously bad for their bags, so let's pretend they are both equal. Want more proof? Now they're shelling Robinhood's TradFi bank position. Bankless, they are called. I can see their portfolio from a mile away. Sol and Hood are back there. Let's open this up on Reddit. For the record, this show is the EV Mavericks Doots podcast is not starting a flame war with the boys at Bankless. Okay, the opinions, what is it? The opinions of our content does not necessarily reflect the opinions of ourselves. There. Is that a good enough disclaimer? So now that we've done that, I guess we can we can open up this this clamshell here. Bankless disclosures, according to AB Kothep from Ethereal News and fellow moderator. Looks like we got a spreadsheet and we got a website. So the disclosures here: crypto assets, sponsors, a list, and da-da-da-da. And there's your Bankless. Okay, we can just, let me just, I guess I'm not on the right screen. There we are. Looks like Ryan Sean Adams, material assets, ETH and BTC. I don't see Solana in there. A plethora of VC things, advisory, da-da-da-da-da. David Hoffman, BTC, ETH, AICC, Coin, which is, I guess, Coinbase and Hood, Telos. But I don't see any Solana here. Looks like you got to go down the list. Josh Kale has Solana. Dave Freiberger, Solana. Solana on EJS, Solana on Alex. Yeah, I don't know. What do you want to do about it? They're, they do what they do. And I don't know. I'm not going to go on about it. There's plenty of replies here. Okay, Tricky Troll says, I'm sorry, this is baseless speculation until proven otherwise, even though I personally think it's likely. You need data to back up such a significant accusation. Well said. Just because they're not being complete ETH maxis doesn't suddenly mean that they have substantial investments in Solana. If I had to bet, I'd say they'd have some SOL exposure, but not that much relative to ETH, and definitely a disproportionate amount, which makes fading their own ETH bags a profitable strategy. Also, David himself, who is more partial to Solana, still makes it sound like he is a vast majority allocated to ETH. Okay. Yeah. We're just gonna leave that dog live right there. I got nothing more to add because I don't. There you go. I said it. Where are we at? Got to make sure I follow along. Okay, Haunted Jockstrap. I never get tired of these Reddit usernames. Haunted Jockstrap is a duder number 33. Haunted Jockstrap 88 replied to the geopolitical threat into perspective. Okay. Let me open it up on Reddit because I think it's a reply to someone else. View the full context. This was from 3 days ago. Illustrating user I love Ted Lasso writes, Frustrating. We all know this US-EU thing will get worked out. It's going to be hard to have a good year if we drop over 10% anytime Trump threatens tariffs. Haunted Jockstrap 88 says, do we though? The US-EU alliance is being pissed on by the current administration. Not sure what, quote, worked out, unquote, will even mean because the status quo of trust is gone, in my opinion. A stepping back from the ledge and a temporary cooling of this tension is possible and maybe even likely because both sides should be striving for it. But the EU has been foolish to even allow themselves to be in this predicament, cucked at the whim of the U.S. And I'd imagine they'd be making every effort going forward to prevent this happening again. The world is changing. A lot of people have many opinions on what it's likely to look like in the future, but the changing itself seems to be inevitable. NATO was formed in 1949. A president of the United States is publicly considering tearing down that geopolitical order that most people haven't been alive in a world without. That affects war and peace, obviously, but also trade, markets, and society. You're saying it like it's obvious that the U.S. and its NATO allies will work this out because it's been previously unthinkable that they wouldn't. But it's also been previously unthinkable that the United States would publicly be considering using military force on a country like Denmark. The fact that it's even being discussed, that it has been uttered in public, represents a change in the possible outcomes that I honestly haven't considered before he said it. If it happens, it isn't a romp in South America toppling despots. It's not a special military operation or just another year in the Middle East sandbox. No offense to people who are personally affected by the events I'm referencing. It'll be the turning of a wheel. I usually don't get political here, so I apologize. I'll put it in terms. A market-wide black swan, the worst since at least 2008. You and I cannot even sit here and predict the second and third order effects to economies and markets if this happens, in my opinion. Now, mods, you can delete my comment if it goes too far. Tricky says, delete it. I'm going to do it. I've been following geopolitics and defense closely since Russia invaded Ukraine, and this is well put and does well to emphasize just how much of its own soft power the U.S. is losing playing these stupid games, as well as just how century-defining it would be if the U.S. proceeded to go through with the threats. I still think it is unlikely for numerous reasons, but primarily the lack of peak leaks of plans, orders, or evidence of military buildup in the area. Yeah, I'm going to refrain from commenting on this. It's a little political, but I understand the sentiment. That was a couple days ago, and now we're not going to be invading Denmark, so there you go. Iter ad astra. I got so many colorful things I could say about all that, but I want to end the show. I want to have a good rest of my day. Iter ad astra wonders how many newcomers are even still here and gets too many good replies to doot them all. Ooh. Hey, this sounds like a great way to end the show. Shout out to the A-word for putting this on the list. All right, Iter ad astra. Has anybody done any research on how many people that got into crypto, mainly in 2021, but also earlier, have completely given up and sold everything at a loss? How could I answer this question? How could I answer this question? I will say it this way. I don't know a hell of a lot of people that have held through 3 bear markets. I look back at old chats with old friends, and some of them have just completely dropped off the radar. No longer interested. Even a few normies that were just kind of like during the ICO days, kind of that 2017-ish time. There were, I feel like there were people in the real world that were kind of like doing a little speculative that, man, they could not handle the swings, and they got out, right? But 2021, what was this? This was post-ICO, post-NFTs. This is kind of late DAO stages. I mean, God, I can't believe how many years have gone. But what I will say is I feel like there's some OGs that I've met are like, yeah, I'm diversifying out of this shit. Like, they're just kind of weary from it. And I think this is kind of par for the course for the industry. This is like the .com. It was kind of that after the .com bubble burst, right? Where the internet was new and exciting and web domains were all the rage and they were swapping web domains around. But it took another 10 years for like products to come online. And now I feel like Ethereum is in this moment of early days Amazon, early days, NVIDIA or whatever product or service. Like, we're going to see some things get built now that the institutions are here, that are just quietly going to start taking on and ramping up this technology in a meaningful way. And it's just going to be, there's going to be a lament about 10 years from now for people that are like, oh, you're lucky. You just got in early. Shit. You know how hard it is to hold? Like, it's so, you get so fucking, God, I just dropped the F-bomb. You just get so battle fatigued, you don't care anymore, in a way. It's weird. It's like strange. Like, I was just thinking about this today. We just blinked our eyes. Now we have proof of stake. We got scaling. The transaction throughputs are crazy. The massive amount of money that's being converted to stable coins, even with like all this geopolitical stuff going on. Like, if the world just gets a second to breathe again, you're going to, people, I think the market is just going to, I don't know. We're in the good old days. Everybody says, back in the good old, we're in the good old days. You just got to freaking commit and stick, stake and stack or whatever stupid way you want to tell your brain. Yeah, if I would have just bought gold, I'd be up so much. If I would have bought stocks, I'd have been so much up, like blah, blah, blah. But yeah, there's that. But you've also got the opportunity of, it was a short-term opportunity with a bunch of money being pumped into this world and printed out of thin air. Yeah, so TradFi is going to make a move, obviously. Like, everything's shifting in real time. Now you got these nerds in Davos that are they're telling you, BlackRock is telling you the game plan. And everybody's crapping on Tom Lee about, well, the prices, nobody keeps talking about all this adoption. It's like, yeah, you think he's probably got a different seat at the table than us cucks on X and Reddit, right? I'm looking back, it's 2026. When I was sitting in front of a stupid fire pit talking about things in 2016 and 17, it was all of these things. Like, what if this is the thing, right? And we're hovering around $3,000. But guess what? We're hovering around $3,000 for so long. At some point, the supply and the sellers get exhausted. And these mega huge, whatever these entities are that are playing around in the sandbox on Wall Street, whenever they decide to put that roller coaster in reverse or whatever you want to metaphorically say, I mean, we're just kind of along for the ride now. All of retail had all their opportunity to suck up coins the same way they did. And a lot of us didn't. And that's the facts. All right. They broke us. They broke us down. They broke us down. You got Vitalik posting multiple things on the front page. Just prove my point here. Let's just do this real quick. We're gonna go read Reddit together. In fact, I want to show you what has changed on social media from a Reddit perspective. We're gonna go to Vitalik's. We're gonna go to his account. Like I said, it's been almost 3 years since he's posted on Reddit. Now I'm gonna click submitted. Okay, I'm going to click the submitted tab. And I'm going to sort by the top, and I'm going to say of all time. 2,231 upvotes, 1647, 1306. This is 12 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 years ago, 661. Okay, 8 years ago, 540. 4 years ago, 457. 9 years ago, 457. Okay, I'm still going. None of these are newer than, okay. Now, when I scroll down here to the bottom, we'll find the most recent. This is the most recent stuff, okay? Right? Now, there's some of these that are even older from 11 years ago that only had like 25 upvotes. Do you understand why? How long has Ethereum been around? Okay. So these don't even really count, but these ones that are like 9 years ago, okay, 7 years ago, 4 years ago, that's when the train was leaving the station. Now we get down here to the bottom. Okay, so he has some that are even older than Ethereum itself. Okay, and then we've got. Let me do it this way. We'll do his newest ones first. Now you got an idea of what the front page Reddit used to look like. Okay, so I'm just going to do new. This is all the new ones. 23 hours ago, 55 upvotes. This one has 124 upvotes from 7 days ago. 10 days ago when he first came back to 25. Most of these are under 100. Do you see my point? Right? Retail got left behind. Okay. I'll continue. I'm going to read the first one. The first line of this, has anybody done any research on how many people that got into crypto, mainly 2021, but earlier, have completely given up and sold everything at a loss? Okay. I'm not sure you can get a concrete answer by analyzing wallets, since a vast majority still use centralized exchanges, but my guess is that it's a lot, but still not enough. Edit. Thanks for your inputs, everyone. Okay, here's some replies. Astafari12, OG, duder number 56. Not exactly, but Ben Cowan has a graph he calls social something that is an aggregate of things like crypto, YouTube views, and other socials, and it's super low this cycle. Making my point. It makes sense. I don't know anyone that entered now, but plenty that did before and never came back. AI and tech have been stealing all the attention. It's a bit like weed stocks were popular years ago, but nobody touches them now because they really haven't done well. All right, Logri the Bard also replies, man, I saw a lot of that on Twitter last year at the ratio lows. True OGs since 2011 and 15 throwing in the towel. That was also my point. I'm assuming that's where a lot of the supply overhang filling all those OTC orders from Bitmine came from. We had at least 4 to 5 million ETH that took their chance at exit liquidity and exited the space forever. I don't know how much larger that supply is, but it was definitely larger than I expected and has dashed my hopes for another 21 style movement until I witnessed a significant sentiment change. Okay, Red Corneas replied, I've been invested since 2020, but involved since 2018 or so. I'm still bullish on Ethereum, but I have almost zero optimism or hope for ETH or crypto anymore. There it is. That's a big sentence. I've been talking to normies about it for 7 years, and the only noticeable change I've seen is that optics have gotten considerably worse. It's outright derision now. And if I say something like Ethereum is a smart contract platform for digital financial instruments, there's absolutely no more understanding of what that means now than it did in 2018 when I was talking to normies. Meanwhile, with AI, I've seen it make inroads into our daily lives. We're exploring it at work, talking about it in social circles. People know what LLMs and AGI mean. You feel the changes at the ground level existence, if only theoretically, and that's after about 2 or 3 years. Crypto and Ethereum haven't moved the needle a fraction of that in almost 7 years. And all people know is that it's scammy and stale. Hey, stale, that's a good one. Here's another metric here. Honda Jockstrap 88 getting quoted due to number 33. Class of 2021 still here. I haven't sold, but I haven't bought in over a year. That's a big sentence, but all right. Well, I'm going to leave it at that, friends. Thanks for hanging out on Discord. Shout out to Ben Broad, fellow helper for the Doots Show, 12 Meatballs as well, for hanging out. Untouchable 2K, thanks for showing up on Discord. Paw and Civil. Civil was here for the entire show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You know how to find us. Make sure you smash the bells and come and hang out with us again. We usually air on Fridays, but we are starting to pick up some guests. We're going to start doing some bonus shows through the week. Stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to us everywhere you get your podcast at dailydoots.com. On behalf of the Ethereum Daily General Discussion discussion of the EV Mavericks. My name is JT. Cheers.